It is the communist war against free men.
One communist on the faculty of one university is one communist too many.
It's good to meet you. My name's Joe.
He was the most powerful person in American public life.
How do you define McCarthyism, sir?
Frankly, McCarthyism means calling a man a communist who is later proven to be one.
Individuals who are just as loyal, who hate communism just as much, and love America just as much.
Member of the communist conspiracy as of this moment. Are you a member of the Communist Party as of today? Are you a member of the communist conspiracy as of this moment?
Has anyone asked any of these commies about decency?
You're too right, Joe.
They should be referred to properly as the Commie Crap Party.
Phenomenon known as McCarthyism destroyed thousands of lives and careers. Ambitious politicians like Richard Nixon and Joseph McCarthy used such hearings as a partisan weapon, accusing Democrats of being soft on communism and deliberately losing China to the communist bloc. McCarthy, a Republican senator from Wisconsin, became notorious by flaunting ever-changing lists of alleged communists within the State Department. Egged on by other politicians, he continued to make outrageous accusations while distorting or fabricating evidence.
Are you or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party?
I believe I have the right to be confronted with any evidence which supports this question. I should like to see what you have.
Oh, well, you would.
Yes.
Well, you will pretty soon. Witnesses excused.
Mr. Cohen, are you or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party?
In 1922, the great Sophie Tucker burst into my dressing room and asked me to write a closing tune for her new Broadway show, Hoop Skirt Mama.
Mr.
And
Cohen,
I said to Sophie, at that time...
Just answer the question, Mr. Cohen.
I'm trying to, but this hearing is a mockery, because if Jolson were here today, you'd never get away with it.
But I submit that any sincere person would have concluded from a review of the record that it does not offer the slightest iota of proof that I have an unusual affinity for communist causes. I therefore conclude that Senator McCarthy's charges and insinuations are not only false, but utterly irresponsible, and under the circumstances reveal a shocking disregard for the interests of our country.
I get the impression that while you are quite an actor, you play for a laugh, I don't think you have any conception of the danger of the Communist Party.
Until this moment, Senator, I think I never really gauged your cruelty or your recklessness. If it were in my power to forgive you for your reckless cruelty, I would do so. I like to think I'm a gentleman, but your forgiveness will have to come from someone other than me.
Communism in reality is not a political party. It is a way of life, an evil and malignant way of life. It reveals a condition akin to disease that spreads like an epidemic. And like an epidemic, a quarantine is necessary to keep it from infecting this nation.
And let me just say, this is from
it's
one
the Morning
show.
News with Tom and Tammy Thompson, Colorado's top-rated brother-sister news team.
People over at the news something.com. And here we go. Ready? Here we go.
Russia, Vladimir Putin, Russia, Russia hates Russia, Putin, Russia's, Russia, Russian, Moscow, Russian, pro-Russian, the Russians, Russia.
Conspiring with Russians. Not colluding. Let's just not use the word colluding. They were conspirators.
Michael Flynn promised full cooperation to the Mueller team. and is prepared to testify that as a candidate, Donald Trump directed him to make contact with the Russians. Yeah!
This is insane. I mean... Okay, hold on. The Russians. It's such a stupid thing to do, to say that the Russians are right and we are wrong. Vladimir Putin. Russia interferes in our election. No, the Russians.
The Russia investigation.
Does Trump have a deal with the Russians, etc.?
Russia.
Seems like the Russians are helping the Republicans say, yes, the Russians are clearly interfering. We've seen the intelligence is true. Russia is actively interfering. Hey, are the Russians still actively engaged in cyber warfare against us?
Community. Simple model. You take a person or a group who you don't like, who are saying things you disagree with, and then you build a narrative that ties them to Russia.
Second of the 20th century's great evils, communism. Russia. Communism. Russia. Assault by Russia. Russia.
Putin despises the West in general and the United States in particular, the Soviet Empire. Russia. They're the adversary. They want to bring us down, the Soviet Union.
Russia.
Undermine the West, Soviet communists on the left.
Russia. That does it for us tonight. We will see you again.
Who really wants to dominate the world stage and wants to kind of get the upper hand over the United States. The Russians. I'm just, trying to be fair. The Russian government, of course it was. Yes, he has some arrangement with the Russians. I was like crying on the phone, like, okay, I'm so sorry, I'll do what you want. You think Putin doesn't do that in Russia? Murders political opponents and journalists.
U.S. State Department underfunded paramilitary training for several of the Saudi operatives who killed Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi in 2018.
We don't kill our journalists, and they do.
Senior executive Louis Bramer confirmed in writing that his company trained 4 members of the Khashoggi kill team.
Nothing but pure evil. Russians attempted to meddle in our elections.
You criticize the Russians. Look at the cabinet pick.
Okay, but if you think that the Russians did not try to do this, man, okay, then you don't believe anything. Then you're in the... Russia.
Also, there are no cuts in that segment. That was straight through. Rachel Maddow watches James Bond movies like they're documentaries. She's so obsessed with Russia, they filed a restraining order against her. And segment.
This is all part of the broader context where the Democratic Party has this maniacal obsession with Russia. If you try and debate anything with them about the war in Syria or the ongoing viability of NATO or troops in Afghanistan, they just start babbling about the Kremlin and Vladimir Putin and accusing you of being a Russian agent. It's like some kind of neural malfunction or a mania at this point, and with extremely dubious journalistic tactics for which NBC has become notorious on behalf of both the CIA and the DNC.
But what's that Roger Stone hosted a show on RT?
Roger Stone hosted a series on the Russia Propaganda Network. Do you believe that we need
Roger Stone didn't host a show on RT.
You think he's never been on an RT?
But he didn't host a show.
Okay, but look, you can go after any picayune details you want, but I don't see why it would be in your interest to support an autocratic authoritarian government which is jailing journalists and fighting against freedom around the world.
I think we should tell the people the truth.
Tucker, when Trump is gone, this narrative, this Russia hysteria will be repurposed by the political establishment to attack the left and anyone on the left. Bernie Sanders-like politician who steps out of line on the issues of permanent war or corporate free trade, things like that, will be painted as Russia puppets. So this is very dangerous, and people who are progressive, who are falling into it, need to know what the long-term consequences of this cynical narrative are. It seems
the exact opposite was happening for 4 years of Russiagate, when instead of questioning the constant Russia conspiracy theories, the media was parroting them.
Yeah. The middle-aged McCarthyites, aka the Young Turks, said about me and what they said about you. And to me, there's no distinction. They smeared me. And then when they got called out for that, instead of owning up to it, they then tried to smear you and blackmail you. And what I take issue with is any attempt to downplay that and dismiss that as personal drama, which is not. It's just a continued smear attempt. And
it's a dishonest framing by news people who should know better, and they do know better, because I already told them.
Ratioed. Again, they're getting ratioed on their own video about me. It's pretty pathetic. So Aaron, let's show everybody how it all started. This came out of nowhere.
Yeah. I don't know what to say. They said Aaron Mate yelled at me.
And so
Aaron Mate lied. Aaron Mate. Everyone cares what Aaron Mate has to say, right?
Okay.
The guy who denies that Syrian children were killed with chemical attacks. Yeah.
And
fuck
gets
Aaron
paid
Mate.
by the.
Yeah, fuck you.
Gets
Anyway,
paid
let's
by
move
the
on.
Russians.
Let's end the freaking pod. I can't.
Okay, see, that's what happened.
I can't stand. I can't stand that guy, and I can't stand the very intentional disinformation they put out there in regard to disgusting dictators around the world. The very people they seem to be working for, to be quite honest with you. Let's move on.
All right, we're done.
Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
But, if Aaron Mate feels really warm in his Russian blanket, he's like, oh, but the Russian government favors me. He should be super proud of that. Way to go, Aaron. You did it. Okay.
Yeah.
And
fuck
gets
Aaron
paid by
Mate.
the.
Yeah, fuck you.
Anyway,
let's move on. Let's end the freaking pod.
Believe anything they say? Does anyone believe that I was inappropriate with her every day and she never said anything to anybody, even though she was the boss? Does anyone believe any of that? I don't think so.
Are anxious to live in harmony with the Russian people.
Communism in
warning to the American people not to fall into the same trap as the Soviets, not to see only a distorted and desperate view of the other side, not to see conflict as inevitable, accommodation as impossible, and communication as nothing more than an exchange of threats. No government or social system is so evil that its people must be considered as lacking in virtue.
The national chairman has said that your administration's attitude in general is one of appeasement toward communism throughout the world. Do you have any comment on this criticism by top spokesman of the opposition party? No, I don't.
Still hail the Russian people for their many achievements in science, faith, in economic and industrial growth, in culture, and active courage. Among the many traits the peoples of our two countries have in common, none is stronger than our mutual abhorrence of war. Almost unique among the major world powers, we have never been at war with each other. And no nation in the history of battle ever suffered more than the Soviet Union in the Second World War. At least 20 million lost their lives. Countless millions of homes and families were burned or sacked. A third of the nation's territory, including 2/3 of its industrial base, was turned into a wasteland. A loss equivalent to the destruction of this country east of Chicago. Both sides begin anew the quest for peace. Before the dark powers of destruction, unleashed by science, engulf all humanity.
It is therefore our intention to challenge the Soviet Union not to an arms race, but to a peace race. Call a truce to terror. The logical place to begin is a treaty assuring the end of nuclear tests of all kinds in every environment under workable controls. We also propose a mutual ban on atmospheric testing without inspection or control in order to save the human race. Together we shall save our planet, or together we shall perish in its flames.